OSW, that was a good group of guys. You know, Mercury McLeod, Cyrus, and Bobby. I really got Bobby back into it at OSW. And you know, what we're doing now is, you know, Bobby's changed his life around. He's a minister now, and I trained Bobby. Dropping back to that. Here comes this kid, little rock and roller, wants to be a wrestler, and we beat the hell out of him. I mean, he just didn't fit our characteristics of a wrestler, and we beat him. He come back. We beat on him. He come back. And you know what? He ended up getting our respect because he didn't quit. So we started letting him, you know, go with us and, you know, watching out for him. But he held his own. And, you know, Bobby did like so many other people did. He took what I showed him, what Sika showed him, and what Reuben Gibson showed him, and he put it into his, you know, into his entourage of wrestling. And that's what makes wrestlers. It's not, you take what, you know, what people show you and you make it into your style. And Bobby did that. So, you know, Bobby come up the hard way. He really did. He, you know, most people, I think out of the class, and we had a big class then, I think there was only 3 of them that finished that school.
Wow.
But back to OSW, what you want to know about?
You guys ran primarily in Milton, Florida, I believe, at the Santa Rosa County Auditorium.
Yeah, you know, I had some good things, you know, lined up for OSW. Really was clicking on all cylinders. Crowd stayed good. Great locker room. And that idiot over there didn't have enough, you know, backbone to tell me that he just didn't really want wrestling over there, and he raised the insurance where it was insurmountable to. I didn't make a dime over there, but I didn't lose money.
Right.
My workers got paid good. They had a good time. It was a real close knit, like I was explaining a while ago. It was a family type deal, and you know, basically I just folded tents on it and got new life when me and Bobby started talking and come over here to help Ultimate. But yeah, I mean, Mercury McLeod.
I remember Chris Cody on a couple of shows.
Yeah,
and,
Chris.
Jerry Reiner. And
yeah, you know, Jerry. Little Maze. And Maze was my first champion. You know, I had a big tournament for the belt. And, you know, Maze is a good kid, and you know, he's always there. And I told Maze, I'm going to give you the belt. And he's like, what? Really? I was like, yeah. Because we had John Saxon in the locker room, Wade Garrett, I mean, Mercury and Cyrus, and I mean, Pat Patera. And we had Steve Savage, Cody. We had a great locker room in Eon Flex. And I gave it to Maze. And it was kind of like a switcheroo on the fans, because they thought surely Saxon or one of them was going to get it, and I gave it as a switch, but I also gave it to Maze to show him that this is what you get. You know, it's kind of a kudos for being there and just blending in the background, not causing no problems. So yeah, I mean, he was cool. He can always say he was my first champion.
Right. You mentioned Steve Savage and Chris Cody. I remember they were running wrestling cards right up the road at the Italian American Club.
Yeah,
and I believe they called it all pro wrestling. It's not the same as what we have here today, but those 2 guys were actually the first 2 guys to talk to me about independent wrestling. You know, and
yeah,
I'll always have a soft spot in my heart for both those guys.
Yeah, you know, them's like my kids. You know, Savage. I used to check. Me and Fargo. We'd go by Pensacola High School when Savage was just a little skinny kid with a big nose. At Pensacola High, and I'd go check him out, and I would say, I'm here to get Ronnie McCall. Who are you? I was his uncle. Where's he got to go? I said, we're going to Texas. Uncle died. Oh, okay. So I'd get him, put him in the car, in the Lincoln, and he'd be drunk by the time he got to the causeway, you know, with Fargo.
Right.
And then I'd keep him gone for about a week, and I'd bring him back. About a month later, I'd go by Pensacola High, says, I'm here to get Ronnie McCall. Oh, you're the uncle, right? Yep. What's wrong? Going back to Texas. His aunt died. Oh my God, okay, I get him. So once again, he's gone. So I think we finally got into the cousins, you know. So we killed off a whole clan.
Now, Chris Cody, he was one of the first people that made me appreciate pure wrestlers, the mat wrestling. He was unbelievable. He blew me away when I first saw him.
You know, Chris is a little guy, a lot of heart, and he embraces the business. He embraces it. You know, and this is what, and I hate to sound like a broken record, but it is a shoot interview. I damn it, guys, embrace this business. Go get old tapes. Man, Cody's got all them old tapes. He used to come over, me and him, and watch it, and it was all mat wrestling, you know? And that's what, these guys would rather go and watch these guys fly around like trapeze artists instead of watching pure wrestling. Ric Flair. I watched a tape, I think I might have it at the house. Eddie Robinson was teaching. And Ric Flair was just getting started, but he was established, but he was in the audience watching. I mean, does that tell you something? Here's a man that to me was the hardest working wrestler in the business. You know, every time he went to the ring, it was 100%. You know, even up in age, he gave it 100%. To me, he was always be the hardest working wrestler, you know, ever went in the ring. And Chris embraced that. Chris really embraced the old school part of wrestling, which, you know, I do too. You know, it's fun to watch it, you know. Taking nothing against these athletes today, they're gifted athletes. But, you know, it's a story in wrestling. You know, you got to tell a story in the ring, especially independents. Independent wrestling, you don't have the TV, or if you do, it's not a nationally TV. So you got to tell a story where people can follow you, you know. One of the storylines I did in OSW was a real simple storyline. I had the local wrestling union 850. All the heels belong to the union. And if I didn't give more money, they could go on strike.
Right.
You know, so basically they just disrupted my whole show for a month till, you know, I put a screw on it and ended the angle. But it was an angle that was so simple. You could miss a event and still, when you come back, you know where we're at. You know, it's not complicated. It's real simple.
Right. I attended many an OSW show. I remember one, you were doing one angle where your bipolar kicked in and you were having issues with that.
Yeah, you know, they wanted me to play heel. But, you know, different organizations tried me to be a heel, and people just never took me as a heel. You know, I wish I could, but don't. I wrestle as a heel. I'm a baby face, but I wrestle as a heel. And a lot of people think I'm Samoan because I do wrestle like a Samoan. You know, I am Native American, but people's like, if you watch me work in the ring, you know that, you know, you can see Samoan all over me.
Right. Well, let's get forward. After OSW, what happened after that?
A lot of hunting and fishing.
Right. I know you're a big game fisherman and hunter,
but you know, it was I would visit some local shows, you know, and just really didn't like what I was seeing, and finally I just stayed away from it till I talked to Bobby, and Bobby was like, "Why don't you come down to Ultimate and, you know, see what's going on here?" So then I started going to their shows, and I would go down to Mossy Head and see James Reamer, and you know, we was talking about that earlier tonight. There's a lot of them workers there that's just, you know, not my forte of wrestlers.
Right.
But I tell you what, they do their thing in the Funiac, and I think they've been doing it for 5 years.
Well, actually, the 10-year anniversary is coming up next month.
Oh, 10 years?
Yes.
But you know what? James Reamer, they do their own thing there, and they always make me feel at home, and they're lovely people. You know, and they do embrace a lot of the old school values. But you know, once again, there's a few that just ain't been trained the way I would like to see them trained. But still, in Mossy Head, I got no problem with them. I think they do a good job. They got their cult following up there.
Yes, they do.
And you know what? I enjoy going up there. James Reamer is a very lovely man.
Yes. Well, let's jump ahead. I know here recently, and I'm sure we're skipping over a lot, and we're probably going to have to do a part 2 of this shirt interview. But let's skip ahead. I know you kind of reemerged on the scene for the Bob Liddell Memorial Show, and I know this was something very close to your heart, and you were very instrumental in putting this event together.
Yeah, you know, me and when Bob passed away, and I talked to Bob every day, and we would argue every day about wrestling. Poor Bob, he's dead and gone, but I told him to his face, Bob, you go to them shows because they let you sell the gimmicks. I don't care. They can be the worst show under the sun. You're not going to say a bad word about them. And I says, and that's fine. But don't tell me that, you know. And on the other hand, Bob did a lot for these local independent shows. You know, he made posters for them. And, you know, I caught some slack from some of my peers about letting Bob sell gimmicks at the show. I'm like, this man makes my posters.
Tickets.
My tickets. And on many occasions, he's run up there and paid for the building because I was at work or I was out of town. He'd run up there. So I'm going to tell this man, no, you can't go sell gimmicks. I could care less. This man, he did something for everybody in this area. And I think, you know, it was a pretty good show. I was disappointed in some of the guys that didn't show up. Very disappointed. And I have no more use for them.
Right. Well, a lot of people, I think, took for granted the fact that he put a lot of guys over. I mean, he had the website and, you know, he put information up and pretty much whatever anybody needed. And I think he will be missed.
But, you know, we kind of skipped over the training part of it a while ago. And I talked to Kobe Godwin the other day. And I know he's a little despondent over, you know, what went on up there. And I told him a story that is about perseverance. When I was first picked to go overseas, I thought Bob Holly should have been the one to go because he was by far a better wrestler than I was. He just didn't have my size then. And I went and told Bob, I was like, you know, Bob, you should be the one going over there. And he's like, you know what? You know, you're a big guy, you can work, you know, good luck. He was real polite, real gentleman about it. But Bob stayed after it, you know. I'd watch him come. I think he worked at the shipyards over there in Mobile. And he would come from work straight to a show and work his ass off. And you know, he had that tunnel vision view. And you know what? It paid off. I think, what, he had 10 or 12, 14-year run up there in New York?
At least, yes.
I mean, so, you know, it's perseverance. It's hard. It is hard. But if this guy can do it, and if you got talent, you just got to stay with it.
Right.
And, you know, we talked about some of the old timers a while ago. One of the people that's really kind of overlooked around here is Percy Pringle. I mean, here's a man that goes all over the United States and gets paid good money to make appearances. But if one organization calls him and asks him to come to their show, he's there. You know, no charge, no nothing, he's there. He is a true, not a mark, but yeah, he's a mark just like I am. He loves the business. And you know, we talk all the time about how bad the indie scene has got. And he's like, the other day he says, Eddie, I just don't think it's never going to come back. And I says, I think it can. I really do if it's installed in these guys to respect the business, learn the business. But it goes back to their instructions. They're teaching, you know?
Right.
So, yeah, people need to really, there's some treasures here along the Gulf Coast. We got a lot of treasures. You got Percy, you got Sika, you got Fargo, you got Lucas, you got Adrian Street, Mr. Armstrong. I mean, there is a lot of wrestling history, right? Bob Kelly. There's so much history along this coast that these young kids don't even know about.
Right.
And
a lot of the young people you ask, you know, about the roots of wrestling, they'll bring up some WWF stuff, and it's like, well, you know, you need to go back a little further and see the guys that paved the way. You
know, Vern Gagne, Danny Hodge.
Yes.
These are, you know, Danny Hodge is just a lovely man. I mean, very, very lovely man. And if you go to the website and look up Danny Hodge, you'll be surprised on how many different articles there is about this fellow.